There's enough pain for the day. We don't have to attribute yesterday's pain to today's pain in order for us to grow. That's just my.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But it's so much more fun.
See, we gotta.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's good, bro?
Hey, we're redo.
Yeah, we're doing it again.
Strike number 2. Okay, I think that we have actually worked out these, I don't know, these kinks.
Yeah.
If you say, hopefully. But you know what? Here's the thing. Here we are getting sidetracked again. You never know, even though we worked out the kinks, you don't know if it's still working on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, that's life, right?
So now
you feel like you worked out the kinks, but don't know if it's working out on the other side.
I'm gonna be paranoid the whole time to be like, hey, are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Verizon commercial. Anyway, I'm just gonna tell my story.
Okay,
we'll
let's see it.
Because it is.
Got it.
I've been having some medical issues dealing with right now, going forward. So over the course of the weekend, I was trying to, I had some doctor's appointments coming up. I was trying to get things in line, get myself together for the upcoming appointments. But because of everything that has happened and the medical stuff and everything, I'm limited on what I'm able to eat.
Okay.
So I'm not supposed to be eating like a large quantity of bulk item food. I'm also not supposed to be eating sugars and yeasty things.
Yeasty things. Okay.
Yeasty things. So no bad pussy. But
oh man, come on. You shouldn't be eating that anyway.
Shouldn't be eating that anyway. But the point of what I'm trying to say is, I went and I had the absolute worst thing possible. No, not eating veggies. We're getting comments already, but
so good. They hear us.
They can hear.
Yeah.
So I went and ate the worst thing possible. So I went and got pizza.
Come on.
Okay.
Dude.
Not only did I get pizza, but I also got dessert pizza. So every fucking thing that they told me I wasn't supposed to be eating,
you ate it twice.
I ate it more than twice. And then I like to eat, so I ended up eating the equivalent of a large pizza.
Okay.
So way overdid it, coming off the doctor's stuff. Way overdid it. I'm thinking, what do these doctors fucking know
Sounds
about
like you're hard-headed,
my
dude.
body?
I got
right.
You. Okay.
So anyway, I go to sleep on Sunday, not feeling well at all. Like I conked out Sunday. Monday, I woke up and I was like, I gotta shit.
Okay.
So I ran to the bathroom, right, to do whatever, and I'm sitting there, and then I'm like, I gotta throw up.
Okay.
And now I'm like, okay, well,
which one do I choose?
Which one do I choose?
Why am I in the middle of this story? Okay, let's go.
This is what you're stuck with. Okay,
we're out in the middle of the ocean now. Let's go.
Yes, I'm like, what do I do? Do I get up and go face in this toilet? Do I go exorcist all over the bathroom? Right?
Why is this my day?
Yes. So I make the decision. I'm able to kind of quickly turn around. Everything came out. I don't know where all of this came from. I don't know where all the liquid came from. Thank God I flushed, because there's some black splash that hit me in the face.
Ah, man.
Okay. So, Needless to say, I still was like, you know what? I think I can make it to work. I was like, I think I can make it to work.
Okay.
So I go to work, and everybody's like, you look dead.
Right.
You look dead.
Yeah, I got
And I'm like, I feel dead.
Yeah.
I came home. I slept the entire day, the whole night.
Next day.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what it was. I don't know what happened.
The doctors told you not to eat it.
Long story
That's
short.
what happened.
If you don't want shit in your face, just do what the doctors tell you to do.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes.
at least attempt to.
Sometimes, right?
And then you doubled up on them. Tripled up on them.
I quadrupled up on them.
Come
right?
on, man.
So it was interesting. It was interesting. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
that's
the story for the day.
that's my starter story.
That's our icebreaker for the live.
That's our icebreaker. And if everybody would have been here, you would have been on. You would have got to have heard the story live.
Okay. All right. Well, they're just gonna have to hear the playback.
They're gonna have to hear the playback. Anyway, what are we getting into?
So man,
today?
we in a previous episode we talked about, just how do we deal with some of the past experiences and those things that we kind of deal with, right?
Yes.
And we named it the little guy, right?
The little guy
Because there were some things that we did, man, when we were younger that kind of linger, right?
For sure.
Some things that we've kind of gotten into that we may not have even forgiven ourselves for or moved on past, and the little guy is still hanging on.
Still hanging on.
I'm the third, Aaron Hingston the third, right?
Right.
And so I was always little A. You know what I'm saying? And so here we are, right, at this point where we need to kind of work through how do we unpack the little guy, let him be himself, let him deal with where he was in that season, and then we don't bring him into our personal life today. So it's how do we move on from the little guy?
Do you?
I mean, hey, that's what we're talking about, man.
That's what
we're here to discuss, right?
I don't know if you can move on from the little guy per se. I don't know if that's something that you can. I don't know. I think it's. Right, like they say that. Oh well, you can't. How's the fuck? Man, fuck. I'm lost. What is the saying? You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
Yeah,
or
I got
some
you.
shit like that, right?
Right.
So, for me personally, like I feel it is very difficult to move on and leave that person behind.
Yeah.
Because that person has made you who you are.
But I think that's the fear. I think that's the fear we live in, right? Because if I let little guy go, then who am I now, right?
Right.
Who am I without him on my back? Right. And I think that's part of the reason why we don't believe we can let him go, is because if I do let that person go, if I do let those feelings go, if I do let that experience go, then what do I use to justify why I'm still angry? What do I use to justify why I'm not willing to change my response to something or the way that I see the world? What do I do with those things if I no longer have that as the caveat for why I act the way I act?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's a hard one, because you become who you are because of the things
based
that you
on those
experience,
experiences,
right?
right.
So as you continue to grow and develop, as you continue to work your way along through life, you're picking up these pieces, right? And you're developing that quote unquote little guy, little girl, little women, little tree, little whatever you
little
want to call
people,
it, right?
right?
Little people, right?
Yeah.
So you're picking up those people, and you're trying to figure out, hey, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this healing, but at the same time move on from it? But if you move on from it, I feel like you leave some of that experience behind, right? Like, because you're still the situation happened, whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be something traumatic, right? If it's right touching the stove, you're touching the hot stove, right? You want to carry that because that's a learning.
Yeah,
that's a learning thing. And even though it had a whole shit, I burnt the hell out of my hand. That comes with it. You still have that knowledge going forward, and if you move away from that, you lose the intensity to share that.
Yeah, not that you forget those things. I think you said it right when we're talking about healing. I think it's necessary for us to heal, although we still may have a scar where we got cut.
Right.
You know, there had to be a cutting in order to pull out whatever that thing was that was destroying us, right, from the inside out. So we had to go through a surgery, and I keloid, you know, just naturally, right? Yeah. So if you cut me, I'm gonna always see a response to that cut, even though it's healed. I'm still gonna see a bump, a scar, a scratch. Yeah, something's gonna remain from that situation, and so I don't know that you'll always remember it, and you'll always have a connection to it. But I don't know that we should use it as the reasoning why, because what happens, I think, is we've taken the little guy and we've just put him back there in the corner. So we've never really dealt with him, right? And so anytime we go through a situation, he said, "Oh, I'm still here. Hey, you know, I've been back here in the dark, but I was just waiting on my opportunity." I think it's how do we deal with him so that he doesn't derail our current situation. Not that we leave him, not that we even forget him, but then how do we utilize what the tools that we're talking about, the healing process that we'll go through? How do we do that without allowing that thing, that situation, that time period in our life to stifle us in our current life situation?
I think that's the question.
That's the question of life, right?
Of life, right? Is that we don't want. I don't know. But so then it's not really dealing as much as it is healing.
Healing, you're right.
The little guy, right?
Healing the little guy,
because they still. I don't know. Like for me, if I think about everything that's been traumatic, if you will, going through life and all of those things that were terrible, or that would say, "Oh, I never should have had to deal with that," or "I never should have had to see that," or whatever it may be. Like those things that make me so angry also have given me the success that I've experienced.
I got it.
Because of that, right? And so it's kind of like a little bit of it's like a little extra special power.
It's your superpower.
No, I wouldn't say superpower though, right? But even if you think like, this is not the best analogy at all, so I don't like to use. But you think of like actors, right? They say, okay, well, think about something. You got to cry for this scene, or you have to do this for this, whatever. And usually think of something traumatic, whatever. This has happened to me, and this is what I'm going to use to get myself to where I need to be. Right?
I'll channel it through this. Yeah.
So if you heal that, you take away that.
No, I mean, I don't know, man. I
fire. I think you take away the fire because it's not the same, right? It's those. I mean, you think.
But is that okay? Do you have to have?
Yes.
Do you have why? Because why do you have to have that feeling come back up to ignite something in you? Why can't that just be redirected to something that's more healthy, rather than utilizing the pain of that thing to drive you in your current life?
Because I mean, you have to. I think you always think of those things that push you. I think you always dig into that. Like you find something that drives you to achieve what it is you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, getting away from something, pushing through to something, having something happen to you, those things will generally push you a little bit more than the good things, right? Because you find a lot of times when it's good, people get comfortable.
Yeah.
And then the drive isn't the same. So having that like hunger kind of keeps you motivated to achieve. I don't know. Like for me, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that's exactly what it is.
I would love to get rid of it, but it also fuels me
Okay.
to kind of keep going.
I mean, we've talked about this. We've had this,
Angry.
right? Because you like, you you like to be in pain, right? You like to suffer through things.
I do like to suffer.
Like that's part of who you are, right?
It is. It just is.
And the only thing is, who would you be if you didn't have to suffer through it? Like that's where we're trying to go, right? Of course, we are who we are, and we've been made by these experiences and life situations. Got it. Check.
Yes.
But could we be somebody better if we didn't have to utilize that? If that wasn't always the log we threw on the fire? What if we what if we found a different way of doing it? What if there was a different situation? What if we had a different tool in the tool shed that was better for changing this piece of, changing this part out, right? If I needed a wrench, but I have a screwdriver and I'm always trying to get at it with the screwdriver, then I'm creating more damage. I may get it done.
Yeah.
But I'm creating more damage.
True.
Right? So yes, I'm going through it and I'm getting it done. But what additional damage am I doing by continuing to do it with the wrong tool?
I mean, that's a very good question, but that's the scary. That's the scary part.
Because you don't want to
right?
give it up. I've used this. All I know how to use is the screwdriver.
Hey, I'm proficient.
Proficient with the screwdriver. Yeah,
with the screwdriver,
right.
I can do surgery with the screwdriver, right?
Yeah,
the flathead with the chip tip.
What was that? That was MacGyver.
Yep.
Duct tape
with
and
anything. You give him a paper clip and duct tape, and he built a rocket.
A whole rocket, right?
I don't know how, but he did it. But that's the thing, though, too, is it's the unknown, right? People are always scared of the unknown, and you go with what you do know. And yeah, you could give it up and find a better way and be a better person. You could also give it up and lose yourself and be something that you don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that, at least for me, that's one thing that I have done this one way, right? I've used a screwdriver for so long, and that has driven me to be what I am and do what I've done and all that other stuff. But I haven't found a need for another tool. Like, yes, I can be more proficient with the one that I have, right? I can always be better with the one that I have. But, on the backside, it's like one of those things where you think about, like, growing up. If you grow up in a very poor household or whatever it is, like, you got to make 400 meals out of, right?
Yeah, of course. Right.
So there you go. You're learning to be more proficient with the tool that you have.
Yeah, but is that always? So now, now some 40 years later, 30 odd years later, right? From the place of having to take, eggs and create, from breakfast to fried rice or whatever else you were gonna make out of that one egg, right? Whatever those things because I've been there, done that, right?
Right.
But now do you still have to use that as the fuel, is what I'm saying? Is that still now, because you've reached a certain place, does that still have to be the reminder that drives you?
Yes.
Why?
Because
so I'm saying this. Okay, this just popped in. These things pop up, right? This popped up. I'm thinking about so there's this idea of a snake, right? You have a snake.
Yes.
And the snake, in order for the snake to grow, it has to shed.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't shed, it's not going to get any bigger than what it was initially. Right?
True.
Because it is going to be constricted in what that outer shell is never going to allow it to grow to its full potential.
True.
Okay. Will it still be a snake? Yes. Will it still scare people? Yes. Will it still do whatever it's going to do? Yes. But will it reach its full potential? No. And so what it has to go through, it has to in order for the shedding to occur, it has to scratch and create a rift in it, right? And underneath, a new skin has already grown.
Right.
This one has to be pulled off. But what comes off with that skin is everything that was attached to it.
Right.
So if there were parasites that latched onto it, if there were bugs, if there were whatever else that latched onto that level of skin, when it comes off as a whole piece and it's over here. Because
Right.
I've seen snake skin and thought that was a real snake, right? Because it's really the...
Yeah, the whole thing.
And now this one, he's moved on and now he's growing. He picks up another set of parasites, picked up another because he's always on his stomach, right?
Right.
You know, so there's other things that he's going to pick up, but he's not picking up. He left this over here behind. And he doesn't grow without shedding that old skin.
Okay, now here. Oh, this is true. Okay, now, but look, at the same time, when you're talking about that, two things can happen.
Okay.
That snake can continue to grow and be a super predator,
Yeah.
or that snake can grow to be a big target and somebody else's meal.
Okay.
So either one comes from leaving behind that past, right?
But that's the next thing you got to deal with.
Yeah, but it is the next thing. But they have to learn. Like, you can't just leave it. I think it still goes with it, because you talk about, okay, we go back to the cooking, right? You talk about making the meal from nothing, making the meal from whatever, right? Within you having to do that within those times, you think about that day to now. For me, the same way. Like I said, I don't have the same appreciation. There's a different level of hunger. There's a different level of whatever, right? That meal you had back then meant so much more and tasted so much better. If you just went today and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna go make what I made and whatever.
Yeah, you just go buy.
You're gonna be like
4 pizzas.
How did I eat this? Right?
Yeah.
You know, how did I eat this? Right? But you have to remember what that was to maintain that appreciation.
Yeah.
You have to have that personal connection with it in order for it to mean something, right? It's just like anything you have in your home, anything, whatever, like, to anybody else, it's just stuff. But the story and the history behind those things are what make it valuable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have those, because we're just, all right, it is what it is. If you don't have that same, you can grow out of things. What meant something to you back then, when you lose that connection, it no longer means something. Okay, well, now I can throw it away because there's no value in that.
I got you.
And that's okay to grow and to leave things behind, but at the same time, like, there's certain things that are forever going to drive you to continue to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look at the people that have never come across any type of adversity or have come up against anything that is truly difficult, look how they turn out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have a few that are gonna get it, but the majority of them end up being a little spoiled or a little tone deaf in ways, or a little entitled, because they never had that. They don't have that person on their back. They don't know what it's like to, hey, you could lose this all and have nothing. Right. You could be back. Remember how shitty it was when you didn't have this?
Yeah.
This could be you.
Yeah. I think humility, I think the humility that comes with going through those situations, I think, is important. I think that's what you hold on to, right? You hold on to, what was it that I gained from this, as opposed to the hurt of the experience. Because I think it's when we hold on to the hurt of the experience, we're always looking for the ball to drop in our current life situation. Right? Because if I only went through, if it's only because I hurt that I'm successful, then in order for me to be successful, now I would attribute that to something has to happen that's negative in order for me to grow to the next level. And so I look for those negative things even in my new life, and I can't see my success because I'm waiting on the ball to drop to take me to the next level. Because I've conditioned myself to believe that I'm only successful by the pain. The pain is what drives me to success. And so if I only see that, then I've locked into this cycle, and I'm trying to figure this out on the fly, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying, we've locked into this cycle of pain. That's the only way that I can be successful is if I'm hurt. Or that's the only way I can be successful is if something negative happens in my life, because that's what's going to drive me to the next thing, as opposed to seeing the success and letting that fuel me now, because I see success. We went from having to make a meal out of things. I just mentioned it a second ago. We just mentioned having to make a meal out of certain things, right? To you going and buying a pizza, you saying eating the equivalent of a large pizza and a dessert pizza, right? We're not there anymore. You're not over here anymore.
No,
where you have to cut up hot dogs into
and you know what?
beans.
It hurt me. If I was cutting up hot dogs and beans, I probably wouldn't have ate so fucking
No, that's
much.
just you being
hard
headed.
But here's the thing though too. And this is where I guess the success comes from the pain. The success comes from the negative, right? Mm-hmm. Because anything that you do to be successful, the learning process is painful. The failure, the everything, right? If you're working out, breaking down those muscles, there's pain. You're not going to get to your end goal easy. It's not going to happen. You don't get there by sitting on your couch being comfortable.
Yeah.
You have to attribute that pain to that growth. So why is it a bad thing?
But you don't stay in pain though.
But you do if you're going to continue to grow. If you're going to continue,
you don't have to stay in. But that's not an everyday thing, right? There's a tearing down of the muscle.
It's always harder. You go harder today than you did before.
But if you only tear the muscle, it never heals.
The healing part is the painful part.
Oh man, come on. Look. Stephanie said, hold on to the lessons while working through the learning.
Look,
the healing.
You when we go in the gym and you do the workout, right? You feel good. You're a little tired. You're winded.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, I'm winded, but I feel good. The next day, when that healing begins, that's when the pain.
That's when you soar, right?
When you're building your business and you're going through your business, the failures, the painful part, the losing, the laying off, the reconstructing, those are the painful things that are getting you to that next level. And the pain only stops when you say, this is the plateau that I'm at. There's always going to be, right? They call it growing pains. They don't call it growing comfort. And you have to always be in that level of challenge, in that level of struggle. And I think that sometimes we look at it as if it's always a negative. And I think that I guess for me, that's where I stick with my quote unquote little guy, is because, like, yes, he sucks. He hurts, he causes pains, but that's not always a bad thing. That's not always a terrible thing. And if there's plenty of times where if he wasn't there, I probably would be in a worse scenario, right? Because you say, oh, well, hey, this happened before, or this could happen, or you need to think about all of this, or whatever the situation is, don't go after that because it's just not right, or whatever. And it's saved a lot of issues, if you will. So I don't know. I don't.
So it's not that we don't, because he was intuitive, right? The little guy saw a lot of stuff, right? that he logged away and said, okay, when I'm older, I won't do this. Or when I don't want to be that kind of person, or this hurt me, right?
Right.
The thing is, what you were talking about was a current situation, right? In order for us to grow, we have to go through the pain of that current situation. If I want to be bigger in the gym, then boom, I'm gonna have to tear down these muscles.
Gotta tear them down.
I gotta get in, boom, 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 boom. I gotta get in. But that's a cycle, right?
Yeah.
That's one cycle that deals with the current pain of that particular situation. I didn't pull back the pain of 3 cycles ago to say that I go and bring that up to here. If I never deal with that pain over there, then now I'm depressed and I'm down low because I never took that and shoveled that off. Right? Now it comes and it attaches to even the pain of today. Well, I think the pain of today, or the stretching of today, is necessary when we add it to everything else that we refuse to deal with, that we refuse to unpack. Now we become overwhelmed, right? And we're sitting in a dark room, considering life, right?
It's the best place to be.
Right. We're trying to figure out, okay, man, what do I do?
Yeah.
It's because we never did shuffle out. We never did let the young boy heal. There's enough pain for today. We don't have to attribute yesterday's pain to today's pain in order for us to grow. That's just my.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But it's so much more fun.
See, we gotta.
It's so much more fun.
You enjoy that,
to have
man,
that.
come on,
because you have to, right? If I'm gonna be in a valley,
yeah,
I want to be at the very bottom.
You all the way down
in the valley. I don't want to be,
But the thing is, if you do that though, you gotta enjoy the mountain too. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you prefer the valley experience over the mountaintop experience.
I do. Scared of heights, man. I don't like it.
So let's change that.
I like to be grounded.
Let's change that.
Look, when you're in the in the mountains where you get hit by lightning and shit, right? You can fall down the mountain.
You can get overrun by water when the valley fills up.
But I will never be thirsty. You see, I will never be thirsty, and that's what a lot of people miss. Like, there's nothing. Look, if people want to suffer, let them suffer. There's nothing wrong with letting people go through their process.
Yeah,
maybe what it is, right, is that people try to change the process. And I think for me, that's one of the things that is frustrating, right? Is because I have a process.
Yeah.
Right? I have a process.
Yeah,
but
I know you have a process.
People come in and then they try to change what that process is. They'd be like, okay, hey, I see you're doing this. Well, let me change that process for you.
Yeah,
This is how you should be doing it. Right. And then it makes me want to continue along the cycle that I'm going on.
Because you just lock in at that point.
Yeah, you're just locked in. You're like, okay, well then, hey, I'm just gonna stay doing what I'm doing because I don't need this, right?
Right.
As opposed to letting me work through it, right? That valley isn't necessarily gonna be as deep, or maybe you could learn from it when people allow. At least for me, right? I will be more open. I will be more willing if you allow me to go through the process, but we share processes, right?
Yeah.
Don't project your process on me.
Right.
If you want me to understand yours, you have to understand mine.
Of course.
In a way, right?
Of course.
And that's I think a thing a lot of people don't get.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their own way of.
And I think that's, man, we talked about tools, right? We talked about the screwdriver and the ratchet, right? And the thing is what I like to contribute, and then what I like to receive back is somebody saying, "Hey, bro, I see you using the screwdriver.
Yeah,
I've changed that part before, and I've used the ratchet. Right, the ratchet has helped me. If you would like to use it, it's right
There
here.
you go.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you supply the tool, and then it's really up to the person to decide, you know what, am I willing to test out what that, you know, that what worked for them? Can I try it? You know what I'm saying? But it's ultimately a decision you have to come within yourself to see. You know what I'm saying? Let me try that tool out because I think it could help me. And
Right.
maybe it'll save me a couple minutes.
Maybe.
But today I got time, so I don't need a couple minutes extra, right?
Sometimes you just want to, right? Sometimes you want to go
Yeah.
the long way and experience
Right.
the whole thing.
How you experience it.
How you experience it.
Yep.
And I think that that's an important thing for everybody to.
You have to respect people's boundaries, right? You have to respect them.
Know when to intervene,
Yeah.
right? There's a time, but that comes from the relationship
Yep. Building trust.
and trusting the
Yeah, of
relationship,
course.
and knowing like, hey, this person is not doing well, but I know that they're not doing that bad. Like, this is just how they deal, how they work, how they process, and be there when you need to be there. Don't be there when you don't need to be there. I think that that's the main thing. I think a lot of people feel left out when they're not allowed to be involved in your process.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
But that's the thing is,
Sometimes you take it personal.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
But it's not your process, it's their process. So allow them to do what they need to do. You can't interject into someone else's thing, but then be mad when they try to be in yours, right?
Yeah.
But like, oh, don't tell me how to do my work, right? I don't know. I think that we lose that quite a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's definitely, you know, I think the thing is when you've built trust and you've built a sound relationship, you know, kind of a connection with somebody, then the idea is that you don't want them to hurt. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You don't want them to fail. You don't want them to stay in a situation where you know you've had some tools, have had some experience there, and you were able to accomplish it this way. So, you know, we share, right? And one of the things that I've had to learn kind of in these years is that I'm not savior, right? I don't have a cape that I'm breaking out. You know what I'm saying? I literally, at one time, I threw away all of my superhero shirts, right? Captain America, Superman. You know, I had all of these shirts.
Yeah.
I literally, and I was going through my closet one day, and I was like, you know, it was a figurative thing, but I took it as a literal
Right.
kind of response to how I operated, because the shirts was just too small anyway. But it was good for me to take them, bag them up, and send them off to the Goodwill.
And get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Somebody else can wear these because this is no longer my position in anybody's life, right? I'll share, but I can't be the one that's going to swoop in, take
Right.
everything up, because everybody doesn't want that. Everybody doesn't respond to that. And this just popped in. I remember my mom used to watch Oprah, right? The talk show.
Yeah.
And she
yeah.
used to record it. Not the newer Oprah, but the one where she had the fro and she
big
was,
hair,
you know,
yeah.
and the corded mic,
Yeah.
you know, that one. And we was recording it on the VCR, so we couldn't change the TV.
Yeah.
And she did a makeover show or something, right? And she was saying she didn't like to do makeover shows because the person has to want to change.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So you pull the person in and you say, I see you and we're going to do this full makeover, and you cut their hair and you know, and you put new clothes on them. And then she did a follow-up to that one several years later where the same guy was back to how he was worse than what he was previous, right?
Yeah.
And she said, this is why I don't do makeover shows, but we're going to do it again, you know? And so they did another makeover. But that's why sometimes you can't just come in, sweep in, clean up somebody's life the way you feel like it should be cleaned up.
Right.
Because some of those things have become creature comforts that are necessary for them to just work through daily life, right?
Yeah.
And if nothing else, just hanging out on the sideline or get in the game, you know, practice with them, play with them.
For sure.
But don't try to, you know what I'm saying? It may not be your intent to change who they are, but just understand who they are and see if you can help them along the way. And that, you know, throwing away those shirts helped me to kind of realize that, man.
And then you're gonna find out they were vintage.
I know, right? They were worth some money.
$200 a piece.
Crazy.
And he threw them away.
Nah, I got them from Walmart. They okay.
Oh, well, you did. I mean, that what you said makes a lot of sense, though, man. I mean, and that's the thing is a lot of times you'll never be able to fix people.
Yeah.
Right? They've always said you can't help people if they're not ready to help themselves, you know, and that's a hard thing to realize is when to walk away.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a podcast episode for you right there. When to walk away.
We'll be doing that one next.
Right. That's the next
DPMC.
one. That's the next one we need to do because that's hard. So we're just going to just skip right over that. But yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense, man. It really does. And I think that at the end of the day, right, ultimately it's going to go back to what we said before. Like it's not as much getting rid of as it is healing.
Yeah. Right.
That little guy that's there.
Yeah.
You know, making it so that you guys are cohesive in your movement going forward, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
So maybe listeners will be able to do that.
Yeah.
I still gonna suffer in silence, right? I still am gonna prefer to be miserable, in silence, since we're only on episode 2 of this little guy.
We still have some work to do.
So I'm not convinced.
We still have some little guy work. Right. Okay, so while we talk about the little guy work, all these analogies, you know how all these things pop in my head, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's one thing I like leftovers.
Okay.
Right? Leftovers are better for me. Right? Leftovers are it, right?
Okay.
You cook it the first day, you're rushing, you're trying to get everything taken care of, you know, and you and the seasoning just hadn't set, right? You eating it, now you gotta eat. You gotta marinate it, right? And so overnight, the next day, you know, you pick that out and boom, you got it. You know what I'm saying? It's better than it was the first day, right?
Sure.
Everything is kind of settled in. By day 3 or 4, you know what I'm saying? If you made a ton of it, by 3 or 4, you're kind of like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I think what's happening in some instances, bro, we are going back to leftovers that are not good anymore. Okay, all right.
I like it.
You like it?
I like it. Leftovers is not good anymore.
Yeah. I mean, because it was good the first couple of days. We used it. Boom. I got what you know what I'm saying? I understood it the first day. I got what I needed to out of the second day. Third day, I stretched it. Fourth day is just not
where it's at.
Not where it's at. And if I look in the back corner, I see something that's been in there
for a
long time, right? And that is absolutely not okay. I could eat it, but it absolutely is not going to produce anything good for me.
Full circle around throwing up in your own shit.
And there you go.
And there we go. Leave it right there.
All right. Peace.
What's going on, guys? Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We appreciate you listening for sure. But we need your help.
Yeah, we need your help. We need you to like, comment, and subscribe so that we can continue to make great content for you guys.
Yeah. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
And it's right here on the screen. Everything you need.
Right there. Thank you so much, guys, for listening.
All right, take care.